What's up, nerds? It's that time of the month again. Not that time of the month, although you don't know. It's time for unboxing. So everything's here pretty early this month, so I'm excited about it. And as you can see, I indulged myself a little. More about that later. So I have 4 boxes this month. The first is Aardvark. I got 2 books. I got 5 books, book of the month. This is actually not the monthly Illumicrate, which this month I'll talk about in a second. I actually skipped February for Illumicrate. And then I have February's Fairyloot adult. So first up is Aardvark, and Aardvark killed it this month. I honestly could have added every single book to my box that they had. I already owned 2 of them, and I was currently reading one of them as the book, like before the books even dropped, which is, by the way, The Warm Hands of Ghosts is an excellent book. I know I talked about it in my wrap up, but you should all read it. First, we've got the Aardvark Member Challenge, which I don't know what that is. I think it's maybe the genre of all the books. I don't know what it is, but it's always colorful and cute. This month's Bookmark, which I got 2 books, so I get 2 bookmarks. Oh, this is the same as the one from a couple months ago, which is my favorite. Please use in lieu of a bandage or a chewed-on pen. Guys, if you're gonna put stuff on these, you really gotta freshen up a little. So the first book, which I actually already pre-ordered this one on Libro FM, but I wanted a physical copy as well because I really liked the author's first book. And even though this book is a standalone, it is also connected to his debut novel, which I'll explain what it is in a second. And that's Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. So Tommy Orange is a Native author. He's a member of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma. And he wrote There, which was his debut, which I read a couple years ago and really liked. And this book is a companion to that book in that it takes place hundreds of years before, through the events of that book, and then beyond. I don't know how they're gonna fit so much into this little book, but I'm very interested. So I'm doing the audio, but I did want a copy because I just love this design. And then Aardvark made their own little star and put their symbol in it, which I think is cute. And this is what the inside looks like. Soft as butter, as always. I'm not gonna go too much into basically There, and I assume this will have a similar aim. There was a book that aimed to explore the idea of the urban Indian. That book was basically positing that non-Indians think that Indians, they picture them on the plains, they picture them on a reservation, they picture them elsewhere. And Tommy Orange is like, no, we're here. We're living among you. Like, we're here. We're still here. And this is what our lives look like. And it was really well written and very interesting. I'm really hoping that I will like this one even more. So the second book, I'm so glad that they got this one because I was gonna get it from the library as soon as it was available. I don't know why I didn't pre-order it. I think my excitement grew after the pre-order window closed because I don't allow myself to pre-order once a certain point is reached. And I'm just like, it's library time. Baby X by Keira, I don't know how I was saying it, Peikoff. So this is a sci-fi thriller that takes place in the near future when people have the ability to create genetically designed babies just by taking the DNA of a person. And as a result, there's DNA theft and people regularly steal DNA, not just from like people they know, but like celebrities, and then use it to create like stolen babies essentially with people's DNA. So this book follows somebody who I think is trying to, like a private investigator who's been hired because a movie star has been approached by a woman who's pregnant and she claims she's pregnant with his baby, even though he did not consent to that. So I think it's going to be like a twisty, turny, sciencey kind of thing. And I'm very excited for it. And I will cry if it is not good. Okay, so that was Aardvark. Here, guys, play with the box. Oh my God, Book of the Month. So the reason I got so many books this month, first of all, if you're not a member of Book of the Month, every year they do a Book of the Year. And they've been doing it in December for years and years and years. But that was obviously faulty because then it misses out on 2 months worth of books because they would do voting in like October or something. And was like, okay, well, what about November and December? That's still the year. So they decided to move it forward this year, but actually they ended up moving it so far forward that we didn't get to pick our books until March. So you can get the book of the, there's like 5 books that are nominated, and you can get one of those 5 for free. So I got a free book in here because of that. And it's my birthday month, so I get a free book because of that. And then my credit, which I paid for a full year in advance. So I really only paid right now $20 for 2 of these books. And then the rest of them I either already paid for because of my credit or were free. So, and actually I'm seriously regretting not getting a 6th book, because this is the only time of the year when you can get 6 books in a box, and I want to see how big the box is. Also, because I just read an arc of the book Listen for the Lie, and that was one of Book of the Month's choices this month, and I freaking loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars, rounded up to 5. It was an incredibly fun audiobook, and I want the book on my shelf, so I will be actually getting that next month. And I'm really mad because I could have had a 6th book, and it could have been like a record for how many books I've gotten from Book of the Month, and I want to see how big the box is. Anyway, let's open this and see what 5 books I got. Okay, so this is the one I knew I was going to get going into the month because we got spoilers, and I'm really excited for it. It's been getting really good reviews. And that is Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Cavanaugh. I haven't looked at the summary too much. I just heard that this is also a take on the Strangers on a Train scenario where you swap murders, but presumably it's got its own fresh twist on it. And then the only other book I've read with that premise besides Strangers on a Train, which I actually didn't really like that much, was, what's the book called? It's only one of my favorite thrillers. Oh, The Kind Worth Killing. Yeah, The Kind Worth Killing. So if you haven't read that book, it's also a Kill for Me, Kill for You scenario. I'm really excited about this one. So here's my book of the year. So I ended up getting Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is a book I already own. I've already read it. I didn't love it. Like, it was very imperfect in the ending, and it had the miscommunication trope, but I've talked about before how Brianna and Jacob are actually one of my favorite romance couples I've ever read about. So even though the story kind of failed them, they're so delightful as a couple, and the first 100 pages when they're falling for each other and writing letters back and forth was so good. And plus, I have Part of Your World, which is the first book in the series, in Book of the Month hardcover, so now I can match. Plus it's gold and it's shiny. I'll sell my paperback version and put it on Pango. Say next up, which when I told my friend Lindsay that I was getting this, she was like, really? What? Why are you getting a sad book? And then I was like, well, it's funny too. She was like, oh, that makes sense. Because I don't do sad. And that's Grief is for People by Sloane Crosley. So this is an author I've been meaning to try for years, and I just never have. Everyone told me There Would Be Cake, I believe that's what it's called, has been on my TBR. It's a book of, I think it's her first essay collection. And then she's published a bunch of others, but she's an essayist. And this is her first full-length book, although it is really short. It's like 200 something pages. This is a book about her dealing with the immediate aftermath and beyond of her grief for the death of her best friend, who was a notable book editor, I believe. And you can read about their relationship. I think Vanity Fair has a good article. That's where I heard about this book, because otherwise I think I would have just passed by her books just like I always do. But actually knowing what it was about seemed really interesting. And she sort of like darkly confronts her grief with humor. And I think she wrote the book as if she were trying to make her best friend who committed suicide to laugh. So I think it'll be an interesting read. And then next up, this one I almost got last month, and then knowing that I had, some space in this box, I just went for it because the subject matter, it's just a contemporary fiction novel, and I don't normally go for that unless it hits on something that I'm interested in. And in this case, it does hit on 2 things that I'm interested in. And that's Family by Laurie Frankel. I had the opportunity to request this audiobook as an ARC, and I also passed on it, which I shouldn't have done that because it would have been free instead of $10, but whatever. So this hints on adoption, and it also is, there's some sort of a media storm about an actress. Can't remember, but I know that I'm really interested in stories that explore adoption and the grief of adoption ever since I read, what's that book? The Women Who Went Away. And it's a story of Roe versus Wade America and what happened to women who got pregnant out of wedlock. And it's really horrifying and really sad what these mothers went through, because most of them, if not all, were forcibly separated from their children. And then their lives have been filled with like endless grief afterwards. So ever since then, I've been really interested in adoption and like a less rosy tinted picture of it, like a more realistic picture of it. And I think that this covers that. And then the last book in here. So I have 2 of the books in this series from Book of the Month already. So I had to get this one, and there's one more that I'm missing. So I have to get that one eventually too. But that's The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. When I knew I wanted 5 books, I should have just gone for the 6th. But when I knew I wanted 5, I was looking for an extra book, and I had this one on my saved TBR for add-ons that you can make on Book of the Month. And I was like, oh yeah, that one. I want to read that one. So this is a sequel to Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. And I love the movie, and I've only read the book once, but I read it a couple years ago and really liked it. And when this was announced, I said, oh yeah, I want to read that. I want to find out what happens to them. Because even though there's 2 other books in the series, one of them takes place like 400 years before this. And then the other one takes place in the 60s with the ants as the main characters. And then there's Practical Magic. And then this one takes place after Practical Magic. I'm interested to see what happens to Sally and, what's her name? Sally and, no, Kylie's the daughter. I don't remember her sister's name. That's going to bother me. Whatever. Sally's one of them. So yeah, so that's number 5. So that's all my Book of the Month. Oh, and here's the bookmark. And then, what? Oh, I get it. I'm dumb. Let's get to the BOTM of this is bottom. Let's get to the bottom of this. And this was submitted by Britannia L. from Somers, Connecticut, member since 2021. I still don't know where you can submit these. Also, I still haven't thought of one, but I live in hope. So now this one is a special edition that I ordered months ago because I have the first 2 books in the series, and this is the last book. And I read the first book because it was part of my Illumicrate subscription, and I really liked it at the time. And then I bought book 2 in the special edition and then didn't read it. And then now it's been so long that I think I'm just gonna have to read all 3 in a row and marathon it. I don't know. When I've not done that before, I've regretted it, especially when my memory is so fuzzy. So I'm just gonna reread it. And that is All the Twisted Glory by Tahereh Mafi. So this is book 3. I don't remember the name of the series, but this is my favorite one, I think. I really liked the blue one. The green one was okay, but this purple and pink is really pretty. It's right up my alley. And then that's the digital sprayed edges. And then it's got, oh, my copy's a little damaged. That is really pink. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I just really love this foiling. It's so cool, and it's so detailed and intricate. Hopefully I'll like it because these books are really pretty. I have them right next to my Brandon Sanderson's. Also, this is totally unrelated. They just announced Sanderson wrote a secret project number 5. Like, he just dropped it randomly yesterday. Literally dropped it. He like stared at the camera on his YouTube video, which I'll link down below, for 1 minute, and then dropped a manuscript on the table and then walked away. Yeah, so I ordered that bitch. But anyway, it's purple. So now I'm going to have another purple one in there because this was going to mess up the color over there. But now we're good. So it's all going to look great together. Okay, editing Ashley here. I have the memory of a goldfish. Out of sight, out of mind, I guess. I forgot to tell you why I skipped the Illumicrate book and what the Illumicrate book is. So this month it was To Cage a God by Elizabeth May, which is a romantasy, and it just sounded really generic to me. And I like, honestly, if I would have it just didn't sound that interesting to me. I'm trying to be better about skipping, so I said, honestly, skip. The thing that pushed it over the edge for me is the cover. I really hate the cover. It's got this rib cage on it, and it's gross. I don't like it. And bones are cool, but something about this cover grosses me out. The American cover is much better, actually. It's kind of generic, but it doesn't gross me out. Oh yeah, and the third thing is that Daphne Press is Illumicrate's publishing house that they've just recently launched, like last year. Their first book that they published was The Luminaries by, what's-her-face? Susan Dennard. That book was very meh to me, like 3 stars. And then the second book that the imprint published was a book I DNF'd in January in 30 pages. As I was so turned off by the writing, and it just was not, nope. So they are 0 for 2 for me, and they always put it in the box, in the Illumicrate box, and I just like, I don't want to. Like, not a great track record. I mean, that's probably, I mean, 2 isn't a very large sample, but still, it didn't help my decision. Honestly, though, it was the cover. If you want to read it, though, I won't judge you, but I will not look at that book cover. Gross. So, back to the video. Now, the last book here, I did want to show you, I have spoilers for what the book is. So if you don't want to know what the Fairyloot adult book for February is, don't watch this. And I was going to unbox it for you, but I was impatient and I wanted to look at it because this is one of my most anticipated books of the year. I don't know why, I'm just like really looking forward to it. And that is A Fate Inked in Blood. So I do have the first edition with the sparkly teal edges. And I really love this cover. I thought about canceling my pre-order when I figured out that the Fairyloot was, but I'm like, no, like, look at this. Like, I knew it was going to be a redesigned cover too, so I didn't want to, I wanted this. I wanted the hair. It's got the sprayed edges. So these are all the first editions of this print run have the sprayed edges. This is really thick. It's very quality. I don't know if you can see that. It's embossed. The cover is embossed and it's got sparkly on there. And then that's it. That's pretty much all that's special about it. But yeah, I really love this cover. This is so thick. This is quality. I've been spoiled for the Fairyloot, what it looks like, which I'm upset about because I saw somebody on Goodreads reading it. But I don't know anything beyond what the cover looks like. I'm just babbling now, so sorry about that. So let's open the Fairyloot version. Okay, so that's the theme, is Vikings. So it's a Viking fantasy. And then there's the spoiler card, which I already told you what it was. So I don't know why I didn't show that to you. There's the main character. She looks like a badass. Ooh, I like her makeup. Look at her eyes. And then a letter from the author. So this is an author, Danielle Jensen. I have had the first Bridge Kingdom book out from Kindle Unlimited for ages. And if you get that one on Kindle Unlimited, it also downloads an audiobook to your Audible. And I think that's how I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it. Anyway, I should get to that soon. But I'm going to get to this one first. This is on my April TBR. So here's the cover. So it's completely redesigned. It is very pretty, but it doesn't have the hair. That hair is fabulous. Looks like some crows or some ravens, not sure which, probably ravens because it's Norse. I always look up the difference on how to tell a raven from a crow and I always forget. I know there's something with their beaks and there's something with their tail feathers. It's actually prettier in person than I thought it would be. And then it's got these edges. And then I actually really like that spine. That's really cool. Yes, and it's cloth bound. Oh, they're doing more and more cloth bounds and I love it so much. And then that is really pretty. It's like a full-on illustration of these two yahoos. Character art, the full artwork from the letter. And on the other side, ooh, he's handsome. There's the dude. So this is a fantasy romance. Literally all I know about is it's a fantasy romance with Vikings. So I can't tell you much more than that. Let me look at the summary real quick and see if I can pull something interesting out of there. Okay, so I guess she's in an unwanted marriage. Her name is Freya, and she spends her days gutting fish, but dreams of becoming a warrior. Okay, so I already like that about her. Oh, and she also dreams of putting an axe in her boorish husband's back. I also like that about her. Okay, and then there's like a fight to the death. Her husband betrays her, and then there's something else, and there's some forbidden attraction to some guy who's a fierce warrior, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it sounds good, and I'm excited to read it, but I will not be reading this copy. I will be reading this copy. If I love it, I'm keeping both of these, but if I only like it, I'm just keeping this one, and I'll be putting this one on Pango. So that is my monthly unboxing. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. My dopamine is rushing through my brain. And let's real quick, I don't have many with sprayed edges. So these are our sprayed edges for this month. And then, shoot, I'm not gonna be able to hold all these up. You guys, help, somebody come help me. Okay. So this is what we've got. Quite the haul. I went a little overboard. So anyway, so this weekend, for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time or who don't regularly watch my channel, I live in Tucson and we have one of the biggest book festivals in the country here. And I go every year and it's my favorite time of year. And I get to escort authors to their panels and then stay and then get my book signed. And it's really cool. And I've met so many cool authors over the years. I am going to do a video like I did last year, filming some of the talks, just the general atmosphere of the festival. I didn't do so great last year because I kept getting distracted by food and like walking around. And I was like, oh yeah, I should be filming. So I'll try to be better about that. Also, it's going to involve book hauls because you buy books at the Tucson Festival of Books. And I'm allowing myself, as I mentioned in my book buying ban 2024 video, I don't care. There's no limits. The limit does not exist on book buying. Then what are you doing? He's got his head under a box. If you liked the video, please leave me a like, subscribe if you wanna. If you made it this far, which I guess it's not that long of a video. If you made it this far and you don't have anything else to say, like about these books or whatever, then please leave me a knife emoji for kill for me, kill for you. I don't actually know if there's a knife in here, but it's a safe bet that violence will be involved. So anyway, hope you have a great night, and I'll see you this weekend. Farewell.